I'm not going to be mad at you if you do or you don't. But the reality is that if we spend too much time celebrating Jesus' birth, we might not ever get around to witnessing the souls. Yeah. If we spend too much time celebrating Jesus' birth around Christmas time, we might forget to give to somebody in March or in April or in July or when they need it the most, because we got a season for giving. And I don't know if God wired us up to just be these kind of robots that we operate formalistically. This is my time of the year. It's Thanksgiving. This is when I give thanks to the Lord. These 2 days, Turkey Day, and then this is when I give because it's the season of giving. That's not what the Word of God says. The Word of God says the season for loving and giving and whatever is all year round. I get it. People will get it that you're my disciples by your love for each other that you display, not when the tree gets lit up, but when you do it. And when you do it. Nike got it right a few years ago. They just said, just do it. Period. Just do it. Well, I think that's what the Word of God was saying to us. And the problem is we get so churchy and we get so formalistic that we do this stuff out of routine and out of methodology, out of methods. But we don't, and it loses its realness. It loses whatever. And so I would say at the heart of why God has called us to do this, why another church? Why another Bible study? I think that God really wants a community of believers to come together and do it His way, without all that extra stuff. I really do. I think so. And notice now, I'm not knocking anybody. I like cantatas and stuff, man. That's musicals and stuff, they're good. I even like Christian concerts. I like the top gospel singers, you know, Dottie Peoples. I like the Craig too, and I like Kurt Franklin. I like a lot of that stuff, I promise you. But none of those Christian concerts mean a hill of beans if the focus is... I'm going to ask you one more question. I'm going to let y'all jump in. That was the only sermon part of my class, I promise you. I didn't mean for it to be like that. But I had to just share a piece with you guys. Thank you. But you know what? Here's the thing. If we really want to make God smile, then whatever we do should be based on what God says. And if God says to make some chicken dinners and some fish plates, wouldn't it be nice if we could make chicken dinners and fish plates and give them away? And as we give them away, we could be sharing Christ with others, or they can get the idea that we have there's something special about us, that we have so much love in us that they'll want a piece of that just because we're giving away the stuff instead of trying to sell it. Because my God ain't poor. My God don't need them kind of fundraisers. What about a car wash? Wouldn't it be amazing if on a regular basis, when it's warm outside, we're out there washing, got our youth fired up the whole nine. The girls out there and the guys are out there, and everybody's attracted to people holding up signs, but the only difference is when they get it washed, instead of reaching out your hand to collect some money from them, you reach out your hand and give them a tract and to say, hey, God bless you.
Everything's a fundraiser now. You got to raise funds for this, that, and the other, and keep on raising funds. Absolutely. It seems that way, doesn't it? It's too much commercialization. Christmas. Too much commercialization. They've distorted the purpose of Christmas. It celebrates Christ like, not me giving you a $2,000 gift. Right. Or even a $20 gift. What are you giving to Christ? Right. How many souls are you winning for Christ? Wow. That's what it needs to be about. Wow. Winning souls for Christ instead of putting $4 or $5 extra in your department store to have people coming and shopping. Black Friday, for example. Right, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. They're standing in line 4 or 5 hours for the store open and stampeding each other to death. Right. To catch a sale. Right. I'm sorry, Charlie, y'all didn't do Black Friday. Anyway, and you know what's so powerful? I don't mind, and I love what you just said, because I don't mind believers who really love the Lord, who will actually go out and do what you just described, that is, participate like in a Black Friday, because in the Black Friday, their main purpose is gold. Because I don't mind if they get a little Black Friday shopping in, that's okay. If they spend the time while they're there being a witness. Come on now. All right. And sometimes being a witness is not getting up to somebody and saying, hey, brother, do you know Jesus? I'm not talking about that. You don't witness? I'm just talking about being a friend to somebody and creating a relationship like Jesus did with the woman at the well who had no idea who she was sitting with. She was sitting in the 4th chapter of John. He sat down at the well, the woman came over and he said, well, I'm going to give you something to drink. It was a regular, plain old conversation they talked about. They were at each other's level, holding down a conversation. And guess what? When Jesus established that relationship with her, next thing you know, he took her to the spiritual side. And before Jesus was finished with her, not only did the woman get saved, according to the testimony of the Bible, but a whole town came out to see what was going on. And a bunch of folks got saved. And so it's about relationships. It ain't about, so you ain't got to be a preacher or a pastor person. All you got to do is be you. But you got to be about doing it the way God wants you to do it. And I'm not talking about my style and method, because my style is a little, well, Richard and I have similar style, because he's kind of, I've seen him in act. Y'all don't know Richard yet, but those of you probably don't know him, but he's gifted. He can speak, he can make people laugh, he knows the word, he knows people. He's just got all these talents and gifts, but everybody's different. We were talking about last week when Shanice was talking about how she was so fired up about the Lord. All she was trying to do was get her daddy to come to the class, talk to, encourage her, see about her aunt coming, talk to some other folk. But she was being who she was. That's all God wanted from her. It's because it's up to God to make that ultimate connection. He said, I'll draw all men and women unto me. By the way, and I met her father too. He's actually a pretty nice guy. And he did say he's going to come check us out. He did say that, right? So the Lord he's working this thing. Let me pause for a second. And introduce, some of you guys haven't met, Joseph Trotter is from Chicago, and he's down here visiting with the Harrises. He said he loves the Lord, and the Lord said, I gave him a chance to introduce themselves, and they had to say who they were and just a little bit about themselves, and if they were saved, when they got saved, and if they weren't, we give them an opportunity to come to the Lord. We're back to 100% right now, because this group right here, all of them know the Lord personally. So Dennis, almost everybody here know who you are, but of course Joseph doesn't. I don't even know if Richard knows you for sure or not. So Dennis, I'm going to let you start. Then I'm going to let Richard introduce himself. And we're going to jump right back into our lesson.
Spivey, Dennis Spivey. I'm a pastor without a church.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
And that's enough. Amen.
All right.
Richard Scott, originally from Pike County, from Magnolia. I've been in Jackson 16 years. I work full-time for the state of Mississippi. I've been preaching a long time, but I formally accepted my call into the ministry just a few years back, and been saved since my teens.
All right.
And the revelation that God has, when things started to open up for me, I had an opportunity, even sharing with my baby sister, the difference in merely being saved and living a righteous life. Now, I've been saved a long time, but just recently have I started living a righteous, godly life. And there is a difference. I'm like you, trying not to preach, but it's easy to get excited. You start talking about the word and trying to win people, but you're really speaking to my heart when you start talking about. I know we're just supposed to be doing introductions. So.
No, that's good. You go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
For the longest, the commercialization, like you said, how it all is lost and blurred, and the religious folks, the modern day Pharisees, it just blows my mind. I'm saying we're so religiously dogmatic that we're losing opportunities to witness. I'm talking to one of my holy rolling relatives,
right,
and I was telling one of my friends had fallen into the lesbian lifestyle. And she said, then what are you going to do now? I said, what you think I'm going to do? I'm going to keep loving her.
That's right. That's
then
right.
What are you going to say to her? When it comes up, I'm going to tell her the truth.
Right.
The truth doesn't change.
That's right.
But if we throw everybody under the bus that doesn't live the way we're supposed to live,
that's right.
I'm trying to.
We don't mind. We love having preachers in this house, don't we? The great thing.
Wasn't it like in our first study something about the judgment?
Exactly. We talked about that 2 weeks ago, and so it's wonderful how, and I know you mentioned to me, we were talking on Facebook, and you mentioned how the Lord had laid some stuff on you. And
Absolutely.
it seemed like the direction we were going on with community was lining up a lot with some of that. And we can see that's just confirmation, face-to-face confirmation, because the reality is that, you know, God's way is His way. It ain't going to change because of us. We got to line up with what God says and wants. And again, all of us have some different things. He's wired us differently. He's made us unique in some ways. But we have a commonality. Some things that we should be able to unite around. That should be the same. And you just gave me part of you, what you're sharing is a very strong part of that. And that is what should be at the meat of what we do is the love. But love never compromises truth. Yeah. So we have to stand on the word. That's our measurement for reality. Which is why I asked the question the way I did. How do we know what the right way is versus the wrong way? And I promise you there is a right way and there's a wrong way. And the right way will always be covered with love. And our example and our measure is always God. Because God loved even though God has a wrath. God loved even though God has judgment. God loves even though God puts on whoopings. The Bible does say that. He says a father will chasten or chastise or will whoop his child if he loves them. That's what God does. So all of that's part of that, but we just got to make sure that we have that kind of balance. And that's one of the reasons why we have community. And we have this study where we're looking at some areas where we can have some commonality. As a matter of fact, let's review it. Let's look. First, instead of looking at the vision statement, let's look at the Bible statement. Because the vision statement is based on the Bible statement. So let's go to Acts. Yeah, you all right? You good? You good? Let's go in our lesson. We're going to look at 3 scriptural passages, you guys. The first one is 1 Corinthians 3:16. That takes a look at the vision and the purpose for the church, for the believer. 1 Corinthians 6:19, and then of course for us building community, which is at the heart of why we call this thing community, which will be in Acts, the 2nd chapter. But first, let's look at 1 Corinthians 3:16 together, everybody. And in 1 Corinthians 3:16, for those of us who are challenged, sometimes I got to remember because I'm getting old and I forget. But I do remember that 1 Corinthians is in the New Testament. I do remember it starts after Romans. Romans is the first letter after Acts, and then right after that it has to be 1 Corinthians. Am I right? Did I get it right?
Don't make me say
Okay. So 1 Corinthians, 1st chapter, the 3rd verse is similar, has similar stuff as to the 6th chapter of 1 Corinthians, but there's a difference between the two. One talks about the church, and the other talks about the believer. We covered this in a couple of classes, I think. We talked about it briefly. I just want to re-look at it again. So 1 Corinthians 3rd chapter, 16th verse, and then 1 Corinthians 6th chapter, I think we're going to look at the 19th verse. Well, the 16th verse, do I have a reader for 16th verse of 1 Corinthians 3:16?
Amen. Don't you realize that all of you together are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God lives in you? God will destroy anyone who destroys this temple.
That's good. That's good. That's
For God's temple is holy, and you are that temple.
Okay, good. You said you left your Bible inside.
I can go get it.
Oh, no, you good? Don't we have the extra Bibles laying there?
They don't run right over there. On that.
Okay. Here, we're going to give you, I don't know why my wife has the Bible here. So you let me know if it's heretical.
It's different.
It's called a version. It's a different version. Is it like the NIV?
Define that, Pastor, when you said heretical, what does that mean?
Heretical,
Yeah, define it.
It can mean that it's something that starts it's off the mark. It's not necessarily based on the truth, or it could be false teaching, or it could be off teaching, but it's contrary to what the right teaching is. And so we call it like a heretic is someone who typically follows or espouses heretical or false. Is that right? Am I on the right track with that? You probably know
Look, I'm taking notes. You got a little deep.
See, Richard didn't tell you all about himself. He's also, I think I mentioned a couple of people, but he's a Toastmaster. Y'all know what a Toastmaster is?
Yeah, I think that's the World Organization of Speakers.
World Organization of Speakers, absolutely. And they're well trained in public speaking. they actually teach people how to do public speaking.
Yeah.
And he is one of those. He is at that level where he actually can train and teach you how to do it well. He's an excellent public speaker. And like I said, I've seen him in action.